welcome to Tech Show Today, the evening edition, first day of Tech Show 2006 in Chicago, Illinois, overlooking beautiful Lake Michigan, the Hilton Hotel. I'm Dennis Kennedy. I'm a legal technology author, speaker, blogger, podcaster, and in my spare time, I'm in-house counsel at MasterCard, or vice versa, and I'm with Adriana.
Hey, Dennis, thank you. I'm Adriana Linares. I'm a technology consultant and trainer. I'm also the vice chair of this year's show. It's our 30th anniversary. Very excited about the show in general. And today is the end of the first day. So we've invited a couple of guests to pop in and hang out with us. Michael Robak and Ed, I forgot your last name already.
Ed Sohn.
Ed Sohn. So let's let Michael introduce himself first, and then we'll go to Ed.
Hi, thank you very much, both of you. I'm Michael Robak. I'm the Associate Law Library Director and CTO at the University of Missouri, Kansas City School of Law. Also, shameless plug for Wabash College, where Dennis and I were at school together, not in the same class, but at the same time.
Did you guys know each other?
Of course not. There's only 800 people there, so
yeah.
Like, how could we know?
Oh, that would have been cool.
We knew each other.
We didn't know each other.
Oh, okay.
No, actually, we were in pre-law, but you were ahead of me, and so you didn't know me. Anyway, sorry.
That's great. Thank you, Michael. Hey, Ed.
Hi. So I'm Ed Sohn, and I'm a senior director at Legal Managed Services Legal Managed Services at Thomson Reuters Legal. In my current capacity, I oversee a team of e-discovery experts that help support our clients in our e-discovery offerings. And I also work on integrated offerings with our managed review services that are based in India and Dallas and all over the world. And in addition to doing that, I'm also a blogger. I have a column on Above the Law called alt.legal.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, cool.
Well, we can't thank Thomson Reuters enough, honestly, for all you do for Tech Show. It's really,
It was our pleasure.
Amazing, and it's wonderful. Why don't you tell our watchers and listeners, either watchers and listeners, about the various things that you all do to help support Tech Show?
Sure. Well, we've got we're I believe Diamonds level sponsor.
You guys are it.
And
You're
whatever
the
the top
level
sponsor
sponsors.
is. So I think that there are a lot of contributions that were made in relationship to that. We've had several speaking engagements. I was speaking at a panel earlier today and have a lunch and learn tomorrow. We've got quite a few booths where you can come and interact with our products and get to know us a little bit. And we're having a number of great meetings here at the conference. And so it's been a real pleasure for us to contribute, once again to ABA Tech Show. And we really like the show, the size of the show, the type of people who come. It really gets us a more intimate look at what's happening with different segments of lawyers.
And tell us a little bit about the various products that you showcase here at Tech Show.
Sure. So we've got Westlaw that's got new enhancements. Obviously, our flagship product in terms of legal research. We've also made some enhancements to Firm Central, as well as to a new version of ProLaw that's come out. One of the things that we're really excited about is actually eDiscovery Point. It's our eDiscovery offering that's launching at the end of this month. We're very, very excited about it. That's what's been on my desk for the last 2 years, getting that ready to go to market, getting the services ready, the workflow. And we're really excited about that. It's just had a tremendous response from the market.
That's great. And is it geared toward solo smaller firms, or is it scalable and anyone can use it?
It is scalable that anyone can use. The entire idea is that it's an easier to use platform that brings the power and scale of Thomson Reuters to be accessible to any segment of lawyer that's out there. We think that discovery and e-discovery, it's necessary. It's required by law. It's a necessary part of litigation. But so far, a lot of the advancements in technology have only kind of been monopolized by the people who can pay for it.
Sure.
And in addition to our ease of use and our power, we've got a rational pricing model that enables the solo and small law firms to actually be able to meet the big guns that sometimes their opposing counsel will have toe for toe. So.
By chance, do you all have a law school model for that?
We
there's
don't.
a reason I'm asking.
Not that K-Cura isn't already in that space, just so you know.
And, Thomson Reuters has a rich history of investing into our law school relationships. We are looking at that right now in terms of ways that we can infiltrate sort of the law school scene, but really most importantly, education and awareness is a huge part of what we're trying to do there. And I think that my group is really passionate about e-discovery. We're not the sales team. We're sort of on the operational side. And we're really passionate about training and really
I love training.
Getting education
Big
out
fan.
there. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Michael, why don't you thank Ed for what they did for you yesterday?
Yes, thank you, Ed.
You're welcome.
Or thank you, Thomson Reuters, for support of our Dean's Roundtable that we did yesterday.
Absolutely.
Although, and just to sort of chime in, sadly, e-discovery has yet to be discovered by law schools. I think the last stat that Kroll did shows that like 36% of law schools have an active program. So we have an active program, but that's clearly an area that there's going to be a lot of growth in. So I think you're very wise to be positioning yourself to do that.
I think that's exactly right. You know, my background is that I was a litigator, graduated from Penn Law School in 2006, and I learned very early because of the investment of technology companies with in partnerships with the law schools that Westlaw was a superior product to Lexis. I think it really is. Every single lawyer out there knows how to search for case law because they understand Westlaw search terms and connectors because it's inculcated within their legal education. E-discovery is equally necessary. It's an equally requisite skill to practice as a litigator. So we got to get in there. We need to be having that same level of indoctrination, within the law schools.
Right.
And you were mentioning you're doing managed review. Is that two pieces of the same pie for you, or does this new product integrate with service
Yes.
offerings?
I'm glad you asked. My background, when I first joined the company with Thomson Reuters, after 5.5 years at a large law firm, I did naturally what every associate does, and that's leave and move to India. So I took a job in New Delhi. Obviously, it's only the next natural step, guys, obviously. But I moved to India, and I was overseeing the delivery of managed review services and litigation services out there, which was just an unbelievable time, experimental and fun. And there are some absolutely brilliant professionals out there. That company was previously known as Pangea 3. That's now been folded into the legal managed services business. And so Pangea 3, in combination with our e-discovery technology that's coming to market, make a powerful force for the market.
Yeah, because I was going to say, you sometimes feel that e-discovery market is saturated with products and services. So what's the differentiator for you? Sort of where do you fit into the e-discovery world?
Yeah, Thomson Reuters, why would we get into the e-discovery game at this point? It is saturated. There's a ton of money in that market that has been thrown around and a lot of people jockeying for position. We did a survey and 9 out of 10 respondents stated that they were unhappy with their e-discovery solution. 9 out of 10.
That's very high.
It's really, really
That
high.
looks like an opportunity to me.
Yeah, it's
Call me
surprisingly
crazy.
high. So even though the technology is advancing forward, even though that there's more options than you can shake a stick at, lots of people still have a basic level of unhappiness with their solution. And so Thomson Reuters is a heavyweight when it comes to legal technology. We think e-discovery is actually at an inflection point. We see a lot of new entrants starting to really be disruptive, not just sort of the existing players in the market adding on and adding a new bell and whistle that a lot of practitioners have no idea how to handle, and they'll get charged a premium for it. But you're seeing new models come to the market, new entrants, and we think that this is an opportunity for us to bring our offering as a new entrant, as a heavyweight in the market, and really be able to address some of these issues that are out there. I think something that's really interesting, and we saw this at the Evolve Law meeting earlier this week, is this question of adoption.
Sure.
This technology exists. It's moving forward at the speed of light, but adoption is flattening out. And what is this gap between people and their ability to actually use the technology that's out there? How do you address that gap? A lot of people address it through education and training. I'm a huge believer in that. Our position is to really make the product easier to use. Predictive coding shouldn't feel like this massive workflow. It should feel like Pandora. When you open up, I like Eric Clapton. I get a bunch of songs that sound like Eric Clapton. It works. I don't have to think about it that hard. I don't have to understand, advanced statistics and confidence levels. I should just be able to click in and make it work. Searching should feel really intuitive. Reviewing documents should feel like a breeze. And so our approach to the product is to take core capabilities and make them really powerful, but also really, really easy to use.
So we're on our way to like Amazon Echo, where we can say, Alexa, find me the smoking gun.
Well, cognitive computing will be coming to e-discovery at some point, and At Thomson Reuters, we have a center of excellence around cognitive computing and partnerships with IBM Watson. So we're really excited about that. And I'm sure that that's going to make its way into e-discovery at some point as well. We're just out there to prove that some of the basic core capabilities of e-discovery can be done way better. People are not complaining that their advanced visualization is not working right and banging their hand on the table. They're complaining because when they run a search, they see a little hourglass and it gets frozen up. That's what they're complaining about. And so the power and scale of Thomson Reuters brought to bear on that and making it really easy, just slick. A lot of times applications should just be a little prettier.
Right. Well, I often say that many legal technology products are designed by Fred Flintstone during his peak GUI years. Right. Like, I look at something, I go, God bless, that is awful.
Right.
And now I feel too that I think the iPad changed a lot of things because the iPad was so easy to use. Everything looked beautiful on there. So now that's how attorneys expect everything to look. And intuitive and beautiful.
That's exactly right. You should be able to walk up and use it. And that's
Yeah.
how a lot of effort's been poured into the design of our software. We had several clients come in and look at it in sneak previews and in beta, and they've said, their remarks have reflected that, man, someone put a lot of effort into the way this looks, the way it's designed, the way it kind of snaps back and forth. It's
Great.
not like feng shui, like crazy, whatever. It just feels natural. It
That's
feels
good.
like you should be able to walk up and use it.
That's kind of what we were talking about yesterday at the Dean's Roundtable, that learning technology should just be a natural part of education. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the Dean's Roundtable that we did yesterday and how that came about and how well it went?
Okay, I'll do that. So the Dean's Roundtable was a vision that I've kind of had back in September, October, in which I then pestered Adriana.
I can make dreams come true.
What has happened is the Academy has been, not surprisingly, slow to embrace the notion that we need to teach technology. Now, that has sort of multiple issues because what do we even mean by technology, which came up yesterday. But, clearly there's this gamut of things from competencies. Can you use Word? Can you use Excel? The Casey Flaherty kind of audit thing, all the way to e-discovery, which is a thing unto itself, right? Because there's substantive real law associated with e-discovery. In other words, you've got to understand civil procedure. You've got to understand how to craft an order, but you can only craft the order if you understand the technology. So it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. Which thing are we showing? Which thing are we teaching? And not everybody really has to know or get the technology, but they've got to get it well enough that they're able to do the lawyer thing, right? So the thing is, we shouldn't wait until people are out in the real world to have them learn about that stuff. We have opportunities within the framework of a law school to do those things. And the thing is, there are law schools that have begun to embrace that. Some are out there in a big way. Suffolk University, Andy Perlman, Gabe Tenenbaum are doing this. Chicago Kent here, Ron Stout, and Dan Katz is now here, are doing it in a real way too. But there are varying degrees of figuring out what it is we mean by doing that, right? Because it's two things. If you buy into Richard Susskind's, there's going to be all these new jobs for not lawyers, but people who have subject matter expertise in the law,
Sure.
right, as opposed to being a lawyer, or lawyers who practice and then work for technology folks. Back to just, I need to practice and compete with LegalZoom. How do I do that? So we had this panel yesterday, and my dean, Ellen Sooney from UMKC, moderated the panel.
It was amazing.
We had Oliver Goodenough from Vermont, who is just beyond a great thinker about this stuff. He's a great speaker. We had Ron Stout, of course, from Chicago Kent, who's been doing, in fact, his talk was the rise and fall and rise and fall and rise and fall, and now rise, of teaching technology in law schools, because he was been doing it since 1978 and had a fabulous sort of historical perspective on what's been done and not done and should be done. And then we had Dan Lina from Michigan State University, who is a running partner of Dan Katz's. And then we had Bobby Audier, Dean Audier, from Emory Law School. Now, Emory's interesting because Emory has not embraced this idea yet. And so I think that Dean Audier's contribution was significant because if it had just been the people who are doing it, then we're in an echo chamber.
Sure.
And what we need is someone who is not doing it. And we need to talk to the 100 or so schools that aren't engaged in this in a real way. And so we at UMKC have become engaged. We have an e-discovery course. I teach a law, technology, and public policy course that involves the Code for America folks. We're working with the city. I'm an A2J, Access to Justice Fellow, author fellow. So I've taught a course, or I should back up and say, sorry, this is a little kind of wonky, but as a law librarian, there is no county public law library in Jackson County, Missouri, where I am.
Wow.
So 70% of our reference traffic are pro se folks, which is the saddest thing in the world, right? And can't help them. I mean, really can't help them. But with tools like what John Mayer at Cali has developed with Access to Justice, there are opportunities to develop and use technology to create these tools, which actually don't take any bread out of any lawyer's mouth. Trust me. There is
We trust you.
no lawyer
We believe in you.
who is suffering because these folks aren't being helped. But I think there's a way to help them and with technology and still find work for lawyers. The trick is that you have to have law students who become attorneys who get and understand the technology so they can take advantage of those things.
You know, I always say that when it comes to training attorneys, it's hard to teach an attorney how to sort a summary in a litigation support tool. I won't name one, so to be fair. When they can't even sort their inbox in Outlook, right? I mean, you've got to start over there in order to make it easy to understand some other basic concepts. So I'm really excited about what we did yesterday. Thank you for sponsoring the lunch, Thomson.
Yes.
We really, it was great.
Well, I think we had like 44 people, which was amazing. So we had and it was taped, so we're going to be able to use the video to sort of show, what an interesting opportunity this represents. But I think it's time, I hope anyway, that the Academy becomes part of the ABA Tech Show. I think it's a great opportunity for students, great opportunity for faculty, certainly seeing the vendor hall, seeing how things work. We're lucky in Missouri. We have a solo and small firm conference, though, that actually has a lot of the lot of the same great stuff that happens at ABA Tech Show.
Great conference.
But nevertheless, I think there's a huge place for us to be here and participating. And, well, as you pointed out yesterday, there's a really natural way to fit all this stuff into the curriculum. But the professors have to think about how are we going to do that.
Well, we've got to train the professors so that when they're putting the curriculum together, they figure out how to weave the technology that fits into that class.
Right.
It's really interesting because I think the other unique opportunity for universities is that we always forget that a lot of law schools are part of larger research universities where you've got actually on the other end of the spectrum, technology that's advancing and really on the bleeding edge and actually coming up with new use cases. And I'm interested to see, because law school we always think of as kind of a professional school, right? You're being trained to kind of go be a practitioner. But I'm interested to see if there are students that will emerge or a generation of students that will emerge who are not only able to use technology, but can seek to disrupt the practice with technology, can actually get out there and say, and I'm not only a technology-enabled lawyer, but I'm actually going to change the entire game with what I've learned, with what I've researched, side by side with other peers in the university.
Becoming creative and solving problems in different ways.
That's where we're going to see that gap of adoption actually be surmounted.
Big data, one example of that, where you can see the people coming out of that, looking at where's our big repositories of data. Well, law makes sense, so let's put our tools to work on there and see what we can come up with.
Well, Ravel Law, right? I mean, that's their big thing, is trying to figure out how to bring analytics to what is otherwise. Sorry, not to knock Thomson Reuters or Westlaw, but where they're. Well, I mean, the truth is that we need that kind of experimentation.
Think they're not working on something just as good, if not better. I mean, that's what happens, right?
I'm just going to say up front, as a law librarian, the fact you guys are working on Watson worries me just a tiny bit. In the sense that who are you going to replace first? Not the lawyers. It's probably going to be the law librarians that are knocked out. So that's why we have to. That's why we have to stay ahead.
I think and to that comment, actually, I'll just say, we have a lot to learn from library information sciences. That's actually the crucible in which a lot of the information retrieval research and techniques and a lot of that research is coming out of that field. And so it's not that we're out to replace, we're out to learn actually a lot from library information sciences. I know people, one of our design partners actually for eDiscovery Point has a data scientist who is a PhD in math and a true data scientist. And his kind of underlying algorithms have a huge use case in Columbia University in terms of their library and being able to do information retrieval in kind of a new way. kind of like a Pied Piper, like
Right.
underlying algorithm just to do search faster, just to do things like that. And so I think that those advancements are coming in those areas where there are huge big data, stores and databases.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I was thinking, Ron Stout, who I adore and is just brilliant, his Rise and Fall. I sort of feel myself getting excited again. You know,
Right.
like it seems
That
like
was Ron.
we seem like there's
Yeah.
another point where
Yeah.
we're at something, but it's kind of interesting 'cause what you're saying, because as you're talking, I'm like, I'm not so, but being a data scientist right now and moving your skills over to the legal sphere is really exciting. Being a lawyer who's just trying to hang on to what's left of the practice as it changes is not nearly as exciting.
A lot
There-
of opportunities.
The practice will
Yes.
continue to be very healthy. It's just about how can we surmount that hurdle of adoption so that lawyers don't have to feel tech savvy to be tech enabled and then
Right.
be able to accelerate their practice. I think
Right.
protectionism over tasks that might be replaced by automation one day, and AI is not replacing lawyers anytime soon.
Right.
We're not seeing robots taking over lawyers. I've talked to our data people and other people I really trust, and they say in our lifetime, we're not going to see machine intelligence be able to think an analogy and apply human judgment and practice and things like that, things that we go to law school for. But there will definitely be an assistant.
Well,
and-
but sorry,
yeah.
I'm going to jump in and say, how many people have I helped find a name change petition in the state of Missouri? And filling out that form, that's not rocket science, but they don't get it because they need just a tiny bit of assistance.
Sure.
So, honestly, Watson has a place for that, the automated assistant
There is that, yeah.
kind of thing. So I think there are some things that are going to succumb to AI. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think two things. One, with the aging, with the demographics and lawyers who are retiring, aging, there's going to be a whole bunch of people that are leaving and are leaving actually big gaps. I mean, bigger gaps. Because frankly, that's the thing I'm more worried about is the access to justice. Not indigent people, but people of moderate means. I mean, that's really who we're trying to figure out how to help, right? And we need to revisit the whole business model to figure out how it is we can provide them access to what they need, but not go into a situation where they're going to charge $250 an hour and who knows how many hours it will take kind of thing. So I think there are some really, really interesting opportunities, but I think technology is going to play a huge part in this. Again, more reason that the Academy should be embracing understanding it.
I want to read a quote that one of our speakers said today. John Stewart is a member of the Florida Bar, and he's spoke today on a topic called small firm, big markets. He's done a lot of work in the technology area in Florida. But one of the things he said that was so poignant was, at the end of the day, remember, you cannot automate trust, confidentiality, or professionalism. And I thought that was just so well put and just something we always forget about when we're talking about how robots are going to replace lawyers.
You may be able to automate confidentiality. That's the one thing.
you're
But
right.
the other two, I totally agree. And having a trusted advisor and a true
Right.
counselor as a lawyer and an advocate for some of those needs that people have, that access to justice is exactly something that's going to really expand. Even, again, not to plug eDiscovery Point again, but something like as simple as e-discovery being available for smaller firms on smaller matters where it previously just kind of wasn't. You kind of just took a shot in the dark. And I honestly wonder how many cases have been wrongly decided because the right evidence hasn't come out because of just a deluge of documents and like just I think that we can solve some of that and actually increase the access to justice.
So
technology
just a quick little story. So we at UMKC are also have developed a National E-Discovery Leadership Institute, which I'll give you more information about.
I would love to learn more.
Because we hold a national conference in October, and we've had so there's only like 6 judges in the United States that really know e-discovery right now, and a partner at Lathrop and Gage, who's a UMKC alum, knows all of them, and they come visit with us. But one of the judges, Judge Waxy from Kansas, was saying how he had been involved in this lawsuit. And it involved, it was a personal injury accident, but it was a long-distance trucker who had hit some folks. And he said nowhere in that case did anyone ask for any of the ESI from the trucker's company's GPS system.
Unbelievable.
No, that was his whole point. I mean, of course, he couldn't say, hey, you're forgetting this
tiny
really
little
important
thing.
We could figure out where the truck was. Exactly.
So the notion of ESI, I mean, plays throughout, not just as an e-discovery component, but just sort of generally,
without question,
where are things that are being tracked in a way that are unbelievable,
right?
And
mobile devices, social media,
right.
Yep.
So I mean, we still have a huge way to go with the education component on it. But it's just, I mean, I think it's a ginormously open and interesting field, which is why Ron Stout, I think. Well, Ron's close to retire, or is supposed to be retiring.
I think he probably says that all the time.
He does.
I have a feeling.
But he said, "Is it like the Godfather? Just when I thought I was out there, pulling me back in."
Well, this has been great, gentlemen. Thank you so much. I know you all have another a meeting to go to, but really appreciate your time. It's been a fascinating conversation. Thanks for stopping by. Do you all want to let everyone know maybe where they can get more information about you and Thomson Reuters? Is there a specific website, Twitter handle?
Yeah, if you just Google Thomson Reuters eDiscovery Point, you'll get
eDiscovery Point.
a huge number of hits that come back. Our marketing department has been out there on search engine optimization, and you can follow me, EdSohn80 on Twitter, and on Above the Law.
Great. Thanks so much. What about you, Michael?
I'm not famous yet. Next year, I'll be famous.
We'll
But
get you
you're
there.
at UMKC.
I'm at UMKC, and certainly you can Google UMKC and some of the things we're doing, because we also have slid over into the smart cities stuff. Kansas
cool.
City's on the edge of that. We're Kansas City's first Google fiber city in the United
That's
States.
right.
So we have some amazing initiatives within the city that the law school has become part of. Because there are issues associated with privacy, other kinds of public policy issues. So we've got this amazing opportunity, and as I say, we've hooked up with the Code for America folks.
Cool. Right.
So we have some. So UMKC, my name, or just Smart Cities, and you'll see some of the stuff we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we'll see everyone else tomorrow morning.